Hi, my lovelies. Grandpa had me out riding around in the car and I'm all windblown, so here we go. What it's like to be a teacher. My teacher, Mr. Benson, is not the teacher I wanted this year. I thought Miss Innes, with her bright red hair, looked like more fun. But now I wouldn't trade for anything. There's Mr. Benson. I remember the rainy day last fall. I fell in a mud puddle on my way to school. I was wet. I was cold. I felt awful. My homework was even wetter than I was, and I forgot my lunch. How drastic. Mr. Benson knew just what to do. First, he dried my socks and shoes near the radiator. Next, he called my mom for some dry clothes and a peanut butter sandwich. Then he set out my homework to dry, and he smiled at me. Oh, look at her, how wet she is. That same day, it was my job to feed Norma, our class, fish. I slipped and dropped about a gallon of fish food in the tank. Norma had a year's worth of supply of food all at once. Poor Norma, I cried as I scooped the extra food out of the tank. Look at that poor little fish with all the fish food in there. Oh, that's not good. I looked at Mr. Benson. He was smiling. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Norma will be okay, and so will you. Tomorrow will be a better day." And he was right. Mr. Benson does not always smile. Sometimes he gets angry, like when kids keep asking him if it's lunchtime when it's only 10 o'clock, or when we don't try hard enough to do our very best work. He does look kind of mad up there in front of the class. I do my best work in reading and writing. Those are things I really enjoy. Math is a different story. I used to hide my hands under my desk so I could count with my fingers. I didn't want anyone to know that I needed my fingers to add and subtract. But Mr. Benson gave me beads and blocks for counting. He taught me how to think about numbers. Now math makes sense. Look at the blocks and beads. My teacher, Mr. Benson, gets to school early each morning. He sets up our work for the day. He puts up exciting bulletin boards. He checks his lesson plans and he meets with parents. He talks to our principal and with other teachers. Sometimes he gives kids extra help before school. Sometimes he helps us after school too. There he is helping. Mr. Benson always tapes a morning puzzle to the door. It's the first thing we see when we come in. The morning puzzle is usually a tricky question. The first person with the answer is the winner. Mr. Benson says the morning puzzle makes our sleepy minds wake up. It gives you a smart start, he says. I've won the morning puzzle 9 times so far. What has a mouth but has no head? I wonder what that is. Mr. Benson makes us all feel like winners. When our class puts on a Halloween party, Mr. Benson helps us make our own costumes. The ghost eyes weren't hard to cut out, but finding the right place for the bones on the skeleton costume was really tough. Mr. Benson painted 5 skeletons at home the night before school. Everyone loved our play, especially the parents. Look at that nice costume. That was pretty good. Mr. Benson invited our parents to come and work with our class whenever they can. Every Tuesday afternoon, a parent comes and reads to us. Last week, my mom came. It really felt great to have her there. Once during the winter, Mr. Benson's car got stuck in the snow. He got to school really late. We thought we'd have a substitute for the whole day, but then Mr. Benson came in all covered with snow. "I'll bet you didn't expect a snowman for a teacher," he laughed. Mr. Benson showed us the bright side of just about everything. Mr. Benson worked hard checking our papers and thinking of great projects for our class to do. He has good ideas. Mr. Benson showed me how to build my own exploding volcano. I made it from glue and paper. Baking soda made the volcano bubble over. My volcano was really great. Everyone said so. Look at that. In the spring, Mr. Benson brought in packs of flower seeds. We dug up the dirt outside our classroom, and then Mr. Benson showed us how to plant the seeds and water them every day. Now we look out on our very own flowers. I like the red ones the best. Isn't that nice? Look at them all busy. At the end of the day, we also write in our journals. Mr. Benson gave us notebooks on the first day of school. He told us to write down our thoughts, or what we did that day, or what we wished we had done. Mr. Benson started his journal when he was in college, learning to be a teacher. I'm going to write in my journal for the next 100 years. Sometimes Mr. Benson looks really tired. That's usually after we collect milk money, or take book club orders, or talk during a fire drill. I'm sure he must be tired. But most of the time, he looks bright and happy. Mr. Benson says there is no job as exciting as a teacher. He says he loves seeing our faces when we learn new things. Yes, I think Mr. Benson is the best teacher in the whole world. Look at that. There he is up in front of the class. Summer is coming, but I wish this year would never end. Of course, next year's teacher, Mrs. Starr, does seem nice. I guess I'll have to wait and see. Isn't that lovely? She likes all her teachers. I hope you do too.